Has a client ever lowballed you or a prospect asked for discounted work? One of the most frustrating things, and it feels incredibly disrespectful. I'm going to talk with you about how you can handle this today and several things that you need to know to completely shift this dynamic. So as I am sharing some of these strategies, tactics, and the mindset that you can implement in order to totally nip this in the bud, make sure that you are commenting below so I know who's paying attention, okay? And at the end of this video, I'm going to share with you a way to completely reverse this dynamic, which is a game changer. So number one, we're going to dive into 8 steps. The mindset, the tactics, the strategies, and things you need to know in order to change this process when clients lowball and ask for discounted work. So number one is to say no. Stand firm in your pricing. Now, this is sometimes hard for people to do because they're super nervous. Like, what if I say no, I'm not going to lower my prices, and the potential client completely disappears and ghosts? That can be a scary part of the process, right? Like, what if I lose the opportunity? What if they don't want to work with me if I don't discount my rates? But the truth is, your rates are calculated to handle, number one, the profit margins you need to thrive, to be successful, to scale your business. Your profit margins are very, very important, and you've got to protect them. Number two, your pricing is also there to reflect your expertise, your growth, your results, exactly what you provide to the market. Drop a yes if you're like, this is totally relating and resonating, and I feel so vindicated that she's talking about this. And number three, this is super important, is number three, it gives you margin to get the support that you need, whether it's in hiring team or bringing in other experts to network and mastermind and support you when things aren't going according to plan. So drop a yes if that's exactly what you need to hear. Number two, this is big, and this is kind of a mindset thing that helped me quite a bit in my business. You have to know when it's generational or cultural. Different generations and different cultures have different mindsets about negotiations. And I could dive really deep into this, but I'm not going to. Most of us have encountered other generations or cultures that are used to negotiating, lowballing, kind of looking for a better deal. And that's not wrong when it's cultural or generational. It's just a different way of operating. Now, if you're in my generation or even just the generation right above me, many of us are in the generation where we are over negotiations. We're like, we're not doing negotiations. Just give me your best price from the get-go. And that's a big difference generationally, especially in the United States, at car dealerships, at restaurants, when you go to the butcher, like all of those things are completely different for us than they were for our parents even, and especially extremely different than they were for our grandparents. So drop a number 2 if this one supported you. Drop a 1, by the way, if it helps you to know that you can stand firm in your pricing and that will actually increase the respect for your services. Number 3, ready for this? You also have to know that the practice of negotiations is oftentimes revered in business. It's kind of praised. It's looked at highly by a lot of business owners. And it's not necessarily an evil thing. While we may be kind of over it, you have to know that it's something that people do oftentimes because they're taught it in masterminds and in business networks. They're taught negotiate, make sure you're getting the best price, etc. It's actually not necessarily that personal to us, but man, oh man, can it feel personal. But once you realize that it's actually a strategy that is officially and formally taught in many different environments, it feels a lot less personally invasive. So drop a 3 if that was what you needed to hear today. And at the end of this, I'm going to share with you how to break this cycle once and for all. Number 4, read the book, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. This book really helped me because there are a lot of times where it can be difficult when someone is literally asking you to negotiate your prices, and they sometimes will say these things in a very ouchy way. Like they'll say, I know 5 people who can do this for cheaper, and it can be like, oh gosh, ouch, that hurts. So when they offer those prices, there's a line in that book, and there are a lot of lines in that book that are fantastic, but there's a line in that book that is completely empowering for those of us who get kind of nervous under negotiations, where you can say, how am I supposed to do that? And it puts the onus back on the person who's trying to negotiate, because now suddenly their mind has to calculate how it's supposed to happen, and they realize, oh shoot, this is someone with profit margins, potentially with a team, hiring support. I don't know how they're gonna do it. And it kind of switches the entire dynamic, okay? Number 5, if they say, I simply can't move forward at this price point, this is the price point that I have available. Now, this is something that's a little interesting. If they're asking for a discounted rate, do not give them your full services at the discounted rate. But instead, what you can do is remove a bunch of deliverables until you come to a package that makes sense at that new negotiated rate. And this can help you to feel super empowered. So you can still offer them something if they say no, 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 and then they say, this is what our budget is. Give them the service that is available at that budget. Now, of course, if they say my budget's $50 a month, you can be like, absolutely not. There's nothing I can provide for you at that price point. But if they're offering a reasonable price point, just keep removing deliverables until you get to a price that makes sense, or rather an amount of work that makes sense for that price point. Now, here's the big thing that I want to share that is really, really important to keep in mind. So drop a 4, 5, 3 if you have gotten value from any of those points so far, because these could be helpful reminders as we dive on into number 6, okay? Number 6, this is something that was a big game changer for me to realize. The cycle of lowballing is a dangerous cycle when it gets into your mind, because it can happen to any one of us. So the lowballing cycle starts as you give your prices, right? And it might be not the most expensive, but also not the cheapest. The client says, no, bring it down, which stresses you out. It gets in your head and you start to wonder, well, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I need to lower my prices. And then when another client lowballs, right? Then you get in your head again, and now you're at very low prices. And this cycle never ends. Once your mindset is slipping and you start to question your worth, it is very, very difficult to get out of this. It's possible, but it's very, very difficult. The best thing that you can do is nip it in the bud, starting here now today, moving forward. Who here sees how this cycle could be a slippery cycle? And I'm sure some of you have experienced it. So what's wild about the cycle is that it's very difficult to win when you're playing from behind. Who here knows this to be true? Drop a 6 if you know that is very difficult. I am not a tennis player, but I'm really good at Mario Tennis. And I love Mario Tennis on Nintendo 64. It's one of my favorite games. And I for the first time, started to understand the difference between playing from behind and being on defense the entire single time versus absolutely owning the court and being on offense. The truth is, partnership with clients should feel like you're on even playing ground, or like you are at least half of the time on offense versus playing from behind and playing defense and trying to keep up and basically getting stuck into the cycle. If you want to break the cycle, we're going to talk about 2 different ways that you can start that. And then I'm also going to give you guys a resource that's going to be an absolute game changer for you, okay? So number 7, ready for this? It's time to attract, not chase. If you are chasing business, you are playing from behind. You guys know that feeling, right? I'm not telling you anything you don't know. How do I know? I've been there, and it is one of the worst feelings in the entire world. So it's time for you to completely shift your mentality. If this is what you've done the entire time and you're getting lowballed and you're having to discount your prices and you're constantly feeling like your work is being undermined, it's time to draw a line in the sand and try something completely different, okay? So you have to move into a place of attracting clients, not chasing, but it can be difficult to break the cycle. I'm going to give you a resource to support you. The better cycle is to position yourself as an expert, and that means not chasing, not convincing, not lowballing, or arguing with clients to tell them why you are the best option. In fact, the other cycle, the better cycle, I personally think it's better, is to have your services, have clients beg you to work with them and say, please, please, please work with us. To know your worth through attracting clients and to continually raise your prices, okay? This cycle is the one that I got into in my business, specifically working with clients in our agency. And I have to say, Oh my gosh, when I was in the lowball cycle, it felt like I was never gonna break out. So if this is what you needed, drop a 7 or an 8. Now, I wanna help you guys with breaking this cycle because I know that when you're in it, it feels like it's never going to end. So I created a 5-day, completely free Freelancer Success Accelerator for anyone who works as a freelancer to support you with getting out of that cycle and getting into the place of attracting, not chasing. So if you want to jump on into that free accelerator, I am going to drop the link in the comments beneath this video. We'll pin it underneath this video as well as in the bio. So you can check that out because I honestly want to help you. That feeling, it's very helpless and I don't want anyone to experience that. So you are welcome to join me in my free 5-day Freelancer Success Accelerator. I will catch you guys later. Bye for now.